like to welcome council here and declare that everybody is here. And I'd like to specifically welcome our brand new council member, Jennifer Ransom Smith, sworn in about 6.5 minutes ago. And so welcome to the council. We are excited to have you here this evening. Council members, you have some minutes in your meeting, in your packet. Do they meet with your approval? I take that shake of a head as yes, and that's a motion.
It's a motion.
That's what I thought.
I'll second that.
And I have a second here. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Visitor and public comment. Stephen Means has something he'd like to say this evening. Stephen?
Yes.
Yeah. Feel free to give us about 3 minutes worth, please.
Yeah, that's a legitimate question I got. Why is there stop signs in this town? 9% people have not stopped there. I still almost get hit crossing on Main Street, across G Street, on Main Street. I still almost get hit. But people are not stopping. It's still against the law, right? Not to stop at stop signs as far as I know. But people, 9% is over 9% is not good. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it's not being stopped, I guess. Mr. Mason, can you?
Just go ahead and talk to us.
Go
Go ahead and talk to us, and we'll send you to him a little bit later.
I do have another issue about people has options where they stop for pedestrians. Not there's some people just coming in here. Somebody just went right on by it, and I'm a step right there on the street, 1 foot, soon, and there's feet. I don't understand why people is not stopping for pedestrians. Or again, a lot of people are, but there's some that's not. But so it takes one to have a major problem.
I understand that.
It's to me it's serious, more serious than others.
You're getting your microphone updated there. We're not cutting you off there.
New batteries.
New battery.
Some people want voice carries anyways. I probably don't need it. But to me, it's a serious problem. I've addressed this before, but it don't seem to get any better or maybe worse. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing your concerns with me, and as always, I know Chief Mason and also the Traffic Safety Commission is always happy to hear from you, because they're the people who do the work on the detail related to these kind of things. So I appreciate you taking the time to come in and share your concern with us this evening, and we'll see what they come up, what the Traffic Safety Commission may bring forward to us.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anybody else have any other public comment to make at this time? And I don't see anybody else, but I do want to recognize the young men in the audience tonight who are here doing their, working on their Boy Scout merit badge. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to come in, and welcome to City Council tonight. Moving forward, under reports presentations, I'd like to talk about a couple of things. Many of you probably have seen on Facebook and the city's website, we had a naturalization ceremony here a couple of weeks ago, and this room was full. There were 60 people here, and it was truly a wonderful event. As many of you know, I'm a naturalized citizen. I came from an orphanage in Germany, so I have an extra place in my heart for these folks that have gone through classes. I think many of them went through classes at St. Patrick's, and they took their naturalization oath in Portland, but they didn't have a chance to have their families join them. So it was a wonderful opportunity to be here, to have a couple of speakers, and then to reenact it for the rest of the families. And it was really a touching experience to see how excited they were, how excited their families were, and the kids were just thrilled. So I want to put a shout out to, I know the city staff, Jason with IT, Karen with helping set things up, and other staff people that I probably don't even know what they did, but they were in part of this. It was really a wonderful statement about how accepting and welcoming that this community is for people. It was just the right thing to be, and I just want to thank everybody. A number of you council members attended. It was wonderful.
It was.
It was just, sorry, I'm a sap, and no, I'm not sorry. I'm just very proud of folks. I'd like to change focuses for a moment. As you know, I serve on the board of the League of Oregon Cities as a past president, and I wanted to call to your attention a piece of legislation that's coming forward that is of significant concern. Some of the legislature is taking a look at changing a number of rules related to housing in statewide. One of those rules would be to eliminate single-family zoning, which would mean that you could build multiplexes on any plot of land that you choose to, and it would be a statewide allowance. One of the issues that mayors from around the state have been concerned about is that, as you recall, when we approve subdivision or a group of housing, whether it's a multiplex or a single family, the water and sewer lines are put in to meet those kind of needs. And there is significant concern that if all of a sudden you can put a large complex anywhere, how do you do with the infrastructure? Because the SDCs for a new building are not going to pay for supersizing, if you will, water and sewer lines. And to try to dig up those kind of things are extremely difficult. Mr. City Manager, do you want to add anything there? I kind of just got rolling there for a second.
Yeah, well, I think, the infrastructure probably is a big question mark, because how do you plan and prepare for something that you don't really know whether it's going to be 1 unit or 4 units, and how do you move that forward? And that has not only localized impacts like the mayor mentioned, but it also has system-wide impacts. So, right now, for example, we are working on a project to make sure we don't have spills into the Willamette River from our sewage plant. If you increase the amount of water or sewage going in there, that plant is going to have a limited lifetime, which you really then can't prepare for. And then you're going to be accelerating a treatment plant. And as the mayor mentioned, how do you put your system development charges in place to make sure that you're in front of those? You want to be in front of those by many, many years, not just guessing as you're going. I think the other big one is transportation. We have to really think about how you want to plan your intersections and how your transportation system plan gets put together. And if you're moving things around significantly because you can't really look at what you can expect in an area, it's really going to turn from what is a pretty well thought out process that Oregon has into more of a guessing game. And so I think, just really from a staff perspective, do you have to oversize everything just because you don't know? Do you have to increase your system development charges through the roof because you don't know? Or would it be better to actually do it when we've done it, when we have enough certainty that you can put the proper systems and ease and development charges in place to make sure that this is.
So I don't know how you do it retroactively, in neighborhoods, trying to dig up sewer and water lines. The other thing is, I'm not completely clear, but this may impact HOAs and may be on top of those and make HOAs null and void. And so, who knows? The air park there, you may be able to have all sorts of extra housing on some of those. So anyway, with that stated, if council would allow, I'd like to work with staff to pen a letter of concern to our legislators about this, that we have concerns about the infrastructure portion of this. Does that seem like the kinds of things that you've heard tonight, is that a reasonable approach that, so we can at least get on the record and say we have some concerns?
Yeah, I think
it's reasonable to ask for clarification for planning purposes, if nothing else, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
And maybe find out if there's any amendments, because they may be excluding towns under certain populations.
It's actually under 10,000, and we're right there. Yeah, and it would require everybody over 10,000, and the legislation would also require that cities have to redo their code within the next 12 to 18 months, which,
Well, and the other aspect of this that isn't being considered is what do the current property owners think about something like that? And it completely changes the element of what property values may be and what their intent for moving where they did move to
I
could
agree.
be dramatically changed.
Great. Yes, sir.
Do you know the bill number?
I don't have it on the top of my head. I'm sure we can find
Just
it.
so I can track it myself.
Yeah, we'll get it to you. Sorry, I didn't bring the number, but we can do this. This is one of the speaker's bills. So unless I hear objection, I'll work with staff to come up with an appropriate letter of concern to share with the committee. Thank you, I do appreciate that. Mr. City Manager, I think this is your opportunity. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor and councilors. Just want to kind of go through some things fairly quickly. I'm new here in Independence, so when I see it rain and snow and I wonder about the Willamette River and just what that means, and you probably have been here for a lot longer, so you don't maybe think the way I do, but certainly I certainly talked to our Public Works Department, and it looks like with all the snow and rain, it's going to be well under flood stage or where the city would need to take any sort of action. Right now, the Willamette River is expected to come up to just a little under 14 feet, and 21 feet is where the city actually needs to start taking some action. So plenty of room there for that. But I will mention that there is a lot of snow up in the hills, and so while they have river gauges on the river, they don't necessarily have them on places like Ash Creek. So there certainly could be some localized flooding on Ash Creek just because of so much snow up in the hills. We'll have to wait and see. There's really no way to predict that, but we'll keep an eye on that because that's certainly an indicator that there are potentially issues in the Willamette River as well. We did receive bids for the Riverview Pump Station. The lowest bidder came in around $1.16 million. That was $100,000 less than the last round of bids. We bid that project not in the best bidding time of the year, so we went out and rebid it. So the city's going to save $100,000, and that's after about $7,000 of additional cost to bid it. So certainly this came in a little bit lower. Of course, we would hope for even lower than that, but we did save money and are excited to get that project underway this summer and get it finished. We recently had a meeting. Councilor Hicks and I met with Minnet, and I just wanted to kind of let you know that we're going to be coming back to you probably in one of our upcoming meetings to talk about accelerating the replacement of equipment. It's a big conversation after the outages that have happened. I think that Minnet has learned a lot from that, and there was certainly a lot presented. So just give you a heads up that we want to talk about potentially moving the timeline of that up and what the fiscal impacts of that might be. But we'll come back at a future meeting. I just wanted to let you know that they are taking that very seriously, and so is the board. Update on the website. The city is putting together, refreshing our website. Right now, the departments are going through all their content review, and there's going to be a live beta version of the site for internal purposes by the end of this month. And then we will be releasing it live fairly shortly thereafter. So excited to get that updated. The second annual Independence Birthday celebration at the Heritage Museum is on February 23rd. There's an open house from 1 to 5, and with prize drawings at 2:15 and presentations at 2:30. You can join in the History Hunt Challenge starting on February 14th. And you can pick up your information at the library and return them to the museum by 2 p.m. on the 23rd if you want to be eligible for the prize drawings. A couple of other announcements. There's a Save the Date for the Friends of the Library movie fundraiser. It will be on March 18th at 7 p.m. The movie will be The Greatest Showman, and tickets are available at the library.
Tickets are available from me tonight.
Or Counselor Morton.
Of course.
If you want to make sure you get a seat, all are welcome. And awards, the annual chamber awards will be on March 8th at Western Oregon University, and you can contact Karen if you want to go to that event. And that is all I have.
Questions for the manager this evening? Thank you for your report. Appreciate that. I think, Mr. Irvine, I think we get to hear from you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me. Just wanted to give you a short update on kind of a different aspect of the Independence Landing project. When we set out with the Independence Landing project, we really kind of identified the Osprey Nest as a key asset, both for the community and for that particular property. It's great having those Osprey there. They're a great amenity. Unfortunately, in talking with Pacific Power, you recall we relocated the power lines off of that pole, retained the nest there because we wanted it to, we wanted it to remain. Unfortunately, in further conversations with Pacific Power, the nest is just too close to the hotel, especially the fact that it's got going to have a rooftop deck with people on it. There's concerns about both, people impacts on the birds and bird impacts on people. So on the positive side, Pacific Power has a lot of experience dealing with these kinds of situations. They deal with a whole lot of raptor nests in a lot of places. And they say, as long as you move the nest somewhere within the range of a football field, and in this case, we're particularly fortunate there's already a platform there with a nest on, so you just literally take the platform off, nest and all, and stick it on a new pole. That is a really strong likelihood that the birds will just relocate to that new pole. So we've tentatively identified a new location over towards the big tree on the kind of across C Street from the hotel, and that pole will be getting moved fairly soon because it needs to happen before the birds come back, which is going to be in mid-March.
Thank you for providing that information. That way we can answer questions.
I love that we're accommodating this way.
I think I got to tell you, it is kind of nice when we all know where the big tree is.
Livability matters to Osprey, too.
That's right, that's right. And as I understand, there's going to be an Osprey cam there too, so.
Good.
Anyway, thank you for that report. I don't anticipate additional questions. Okay, Ms. Butch, I think you get to make any comments on the finance report that we have in our packets this evening. Well, it was my humor. It can destabilize anybody. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thank you. So I guess in addition to what you already received in my report in your packet, I wanted to note that we did receive $22,000 more in marijuana taxes this in January last month. So that brings it at a percentage up quite a bit more. So a little bit more on track for compared to budget. So if, in addition to my report, I wanted to let you know that we are working on financing the water rights. And this is something that we've had in the budget and was accounted for in the rate study as well. So it is part of the rates, the water rates currently. Just wanted to let you know that we are looking at probably doing a bank placement, a bank loan, rather than going out to the market with bonds. And we will probably be bringing you, or we're planning on bringing you a resolution for that loan at your next meeting.
And this was items that we already previously discussed, decided upon, and so we're just talking about the instrument itself and pulling the trigger, so to
Right,
speak.
that's correct. We need to have the financing in place because we should be closing on those water rights sometime, maybe end of March, but sometime in April for sure is what the timing is on that.
Wonderful. Are there questions for the finance officer this evening? Okay. Thank you for presenting the detail.
Thank you.
Moving promptly forward, I think Mr. Irvine is back in front of us again.
Didn't realize we were going to be that prompt. So y'all are familiar with the Vision 2020 project we did back in 2008, community-wide engagement and action planning process, get everybody involved in making sure we're going the direction the community wants, and everybody kind of can help us identify actions that can be taken and strategies to implement in order to achieve that vision. We've knocked off enough of those projects that it's time for another one. This was referenced earlier. So we're looking to do a Vision 2040. And first thing we need to do is get a consultant on board to help us do the outreach and engagement and kind of pull all these ideas together. The goal for this really will be to do a serious community-wide engagement strategy and effort where, we said, like I was telling somebody else, this will be we kind of figure out our plan for getting everybody involved, and then we go back over the plan and say, all right, who did we miss? How do we, who are those groups that we haven't, we won't be covering with this plan that we have in front of us. The city did a request for proposals for visioning and action planning services. So we had 5 respondents. The group narrowed that down to 2 who came in for interviews, and Barney and Worth was selected as the preferred bidder. And so what you have here is a request to award the contract of $50,000 to Barney and Worth to be able to kick off the Vision 2040 process. And before you ask, yes, we are talking to them about the high school meeting in March.
Thank you. In that case, I'll get us started here because I thought we had a very good process for narrowing down who we wanted to have as our company that was going to spearhead the Vision 2040. And I like their ideas for community inclusion. I move to award a contract for visioning services to Barney and Worth in the amount of $50,000.
Second?
I have a motion and a second from,
Tom got there first.
there you go.
No, I did, Michael.
Are there questions or comments for staff or discussion or anything here? Is everybody okay? We've gone through this for a while and gone through the process. So while we may move quickly to make the final award, we have taken considerable time to go through this.
I make one little comment?
Please do.
Based on our deliberation with the new council member, I would heartily suggest that Diana Linskog be contacted in order to help arrange some groups in the Hispanic community.
Sounds like a great idea.
Great.
And just a quick question, timeline, when are we getting the ball rolling?
Very soon. My ambitious hope would be to have at least a rough outline of a community engagement plan to talk to you all about at the next meeting, the next council meeting. Worst case, it would be something that we would talk about at the high school meeting. And of course, by then, we'll actually probably already be at least beginning to form the advisory committee and get the pieces in place. So yeah, we want to dive right in.
Sound good? Everybody okay? All right, we have a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Can I make one more comment?
please do.
If we're going to be talking about Vision 2040 at the high school, let's also incorporate an opportunity to form some kind of a youth group for this, since we'll have a captive audience.
Thank you. To just remind everybody that we do take the March 12th council meeting, and that will be at the high school at 8:30 in the morning, and we will do that, so that's good. And also, we have the council retreat on Saturday, March 2nd, so just I wanted to make sure that's on calendar. Next item would be amending the development code. Yay. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Zach Hells, City Planner. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So before you tonight is Council Bill 2019-01. This advances our discussion from last month, January 22nd, regarding a slew of miscellaneous amendments to the development code. We talked about those generally last week. I won't go over them in detail, but the direction that the council provided to staff at our last meeting was to clean up some of the remaining errors with the amendments. And we've gone back and done that, and that package of amendments is before you tonight. So we're recommending that you adopt the proposed amendments as shown in the council bill and Exhibit B.
Mr. Mayor, may
Please.
I also say for the record that there is one very small typographical error, and that is the pages that I placed at your stations this evening on page 49 and
Right.
page
120.
129, and those have been incorporated all the way into the record.
Okay, thank you very much. We have discussed this at some length. If those of you, the book was this thick last time, it killed a lot of trees. And so this is the cleaned up version, and is everybody okay with this? Is everybody?
I have a little list.
Okay, I anticipated that. I didn't want to, did I step on your staff report?
Not at all.
Thank you.
Okay, so and I'm looking at attachment C, so I assume that's supposed to be the finished.
That's correct.
Yeah. So if we go to Chapter 13 in definitions, I would go to daycare center.
Okay. That's on page 128 of 187 in your
Thank
packet.
you, appreciate that.
And we still have the get definition from Jeff there.
I'm sorry, I thought I removed that.
And then if we go down to nursery, I was a little confused about that one. Where is it? And it said add agricultural plant facility. Is there something that needs to be added, or what's?
No, that was a note for us, and I apologize, because apparently I did not get that removed as well. I thought I had, but.
So what should be there?
The part that I've highlighted on the screen right now, that should be removed.
Okay, thank you,
So it should
thank
just
you.
be the words after that.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then a question, when you go down to school private, should kindergarten be added that, or is that included in elementary, or is kindergarten not part of that?
It's part of an elementary school.
Okay, so that would be part of the legal definition, okay. And then I would like to go back up to Chapter 10, .025. And okay, yeah, I've got it in front of me, thank you. So we talked about the downtown overlay zone, the last meeting, and it looks like you put it in with the mixed-use pedestrian-friendly commercial.
That's how it is in the code.
Okay, so, but we have the mixed-use zones in different areas where it's not part of the downtown, or the downtown overlay isn't part of that. So I wasn't sure the logic of that. Maybe you could explain that to me.
Sure. No, that's something we talked a little bit about internally, and decided upon grouping it under the sub-E, as that complete set of regulations resides in one chapter of the development code. They are separate zoning districts or overlays. However, they're in the same chapter, and so it made sense to include them together. So they're still listed separately as if they are two separate and distinct zoning districts, but they're grouped under that sub-E because they live in the same location in the development code.
Okay, so because I was, and it was kind of at the last minute, trying to search for this. So the downtown overlay, the requirements or the standards for that are in the same chapter as the mixed use.
That's
pedestrian.
right.
Okay, I missed that. I couldn't find that. And then I would go. One other thing I'd like to look at is chapter 20.060. And it's the It's where we talk about, you can substitute if a driveway's within 20 feet of the doorway. The problem, I think the way you explained it to me is that there would be, a sidewalk to that driveway, but this doesn't actually say that, and I'm just wondering if that actually needs to be put in. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you could just have a driveway and then there's your door.
With no connection
With
between...
no requirement for a connection between the two.
A paved connection between the driveway and the front entrance of the
Yes,
home.
because I think that was the whole idea, is would have
That's-
paved all the way to the door, I assume for, wheelchair access or something like that.
Sure,
Yeah.
and that's the intent.
Yes.
And it's not an ADA requirement necessarily. I think it's just kind of a way to really promote the front entrance as the main portion of the facade. I think that was included in that set of amendments that had to do with kind of promoting that neo-traditional style of residential design back in 2012. So it doesn't say that. I considered that when we were drafting this, and I think we wanted to make it as simple as possible. Along those same lines, we just said within 20 feet period, right? So you could get creative with how that gets measured, if it's at an angle, but I think that distance helps to capture that relatively short distance, helps to ensure that there should be a paved connection between the driveway and the sidewalk and the main entrance. However, we can clarify that if you like.
I guess I'd like to know what other councilors think. I think if that's our intent, we ought to put it in there.
Do you have language?
Not very good language. You know how I talk.
Or I would just offer that we could add some language that there's a continuous paved connection between the sidewalk and the front entrance, and the driveway may be used to accommodate a portion of that where it's within 20 feet of the main
Does that sound
entrance.
There's the
okay?
language.
There you go. That's why we hired him.
Okay. Karen, did you catch enough of the language to make it work?
I believe so.
Okay,
I think I'm good other than that.
okay.
Mayor,
Yes, please.
I have one comment. Going back to Tom's question about the school terminology, do we still use junior high or do we use middle school?
I'm not sure, but I believe that came from the state, but I'm not sure.
I know there was a trend to change it. I don't know if it was official change.
So why don't we make a slash, call it middle school, and then we covered it both ways. Does that sound okay? Is that good to you?
Thank you.
Is that good to staff? You good? You got that? God, we're rolling. Additional comments or questions? And I just want to really appreciate council members who really who must need help falling asleep at night, because, reading development code is not your thrilling activity, but it is very important. Please do.
And there was something else that I missed here. Under childcare facility, and that's under definitions again. At the end there, it says from ORS 329A.250. Then it says parts omitted. Is that parts omitted supposed to be in there or not?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. Couldn't read my own writing.
Again, thank you for your diligence.
So now I won't be able to sleep at night because I have nothing to read, so. No.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, if there are no additional questions, this is an action item, and this has been something that we've been working on for, how long has it been?
Ever.
July. We started in July.
Started in July. And it's not an easy thing to do, and I really appreciate a lot of work.
Okay,
Yes.
and just for clarification, if this is passed tonight, once it's passed, it's immediately in effect?
30 days.
30 days, okay.
Mr.
Please.
Mayor, I
Yeah.
would just like to abstain from voting. I don't feel that.
You haven't had a chance?
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable,
Thank you.
without objection. Okay, if someone would make a motion, please?
Yes. Karen, we had 3 amendments, basically? I know they were all small, just
With amendments
as designated.
Yeah.
Okay. I move to adopt Council Bill 2019-01 and exhibits, or exhibit with amendments as designated.
Oh, you have to do the readings. The first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on, where are we at?
I move to read the proposed ordinance, Council Bill 2019-01, in full as the text is contained in the council packet for the first time.
Have a motion?
Second?
And
Second.
that motion,
That was with amendment.
Oh,
yeah, with amendments.
With amendments, thank you. I have a motion, second. Is there discussion? No discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries.
I move to read the proposed ordinance, Council Bill 2.
wait, we need to read it. She's
needs
got to
to
actually
read
read
it.
it.
Sorry,
Karen.
Karen.
You have to actually read it. Excuse us.
She's frantically typing
We
while
were on a roll there.
And unfortunately, it is a very long title, I'm sorry. An ordinance amending subchapters 10, general provisions, 11, administrative provisions, 12, zone changes, 13, definitions, 14, annexations, 20, low-density residential, 21, medium-density residential, 22, high-density residential, 23, mixed-density residential, 33, mixed-use pedestrian-friendly commercial and downtown overlay, 34, downtown riverfront, 41, heavy industrial, 42, industrial park, 48, air park overlay, RSA, 54, buffering, screening, landscape, and Ash Creek setbacks, 61, manufactured dwelling, siting, and development, 70, variances, 72, home occupations, 73, parking, 74, accessory structures, 75, general development standards, 80, site design review, 90, subdivision requirements of the Independence Development Code and declaring an effective date.
Okay, now we can go to the second motion, please.
Mayor?
Please.
I did neglect to make a comment, sorry, on the sidewalk issue. That does appear in several different zones, so I hope we'll just, I'm sure you guys,
Correct.
that was part of the amendment that you
Yes,
understood
correct. It's
that.
in all the
so-
residential zones, yeah.
Yeah, thank
Right,
you.
okay, and that's what we understood it to be.
Yes,
So
good.
was that you making the second motion too?
I move to read the proposed ordinance, Council Bill number 2019-01, for the second time by title only.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries.
And ordinance amending subchapters 10, general provisions, 11, administrative provisions, 12, zone changes, 13, definitions, 14, annexations, 20, low-density residential, 21, medium-density residential, 22, high-density residential, 23, mixed-density residential, 33, mixed-use pedestrian-friendly commercial and downtown overlay, 34, downtown riverfront, 41, heavy industrial, 42, industrial park, 48, air park overlay, RSA, 54, buffering, screening, landscape, and Ash Creek setbacks, 61, manufactured dwelling, siting, and development, 70, variances, 72, home occupations, 73, parking, 74, accessory structures, 75, general development standards, 80, site design review, 90, subdivision requirements of the Independence Development Code, and declaring an effective date.
Give that woman oxygen. Okay, the third motion, please.
And so if I may, I move to adopt the proposed ordinance, Council Bill number 2019-01. And thank you, Karen.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Everybody, I think, is all okay? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. I know a lot of work went into this. Thank you all for doing that.
This will be ordinance number 1570.
Great. Down to council announcements.
You got mine from the city manager.
Thank you. Okay, just to remind everybody that there is a COG dinner coming up. There is one council member was attending, but the world changed. So if you're interested in attending, please see Karen Johnson, and she'll get you signed up. And then do
I've
that.
got my ticket.
Good, great. If there's nothing else that we need to do, somebody send us home, please.
Move to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you very much. Have a pleasant evening.